Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Elle Woods, and this is Bruiser Woods, and we're both Gemini vegetarians. I have a bachelor's degree in fashion merchandising from CULA, and I was a Zeta Lambda Nu sweetheart, president of my sorority Delta Nu, and last year I was homecoming queen. Oh, 2 weeks ago, I saw Cameron Diaz at Fred Siegel, and I talked her out of buying this truly heinous Angora sweater. Whoever said orange was the new pink was seriously disturbed.
Welcome to T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. Music, comedy, and conversation featuring HB. The Honey Badger.
Honey Badger don't care.
Now, on with the show.
I'm ready, T-Bone.
Ginger?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get started. This is Radio Free Roanoke, and this is T-Bone's Best of Roanoke show. I'd say episode 103. And we are at Mill Mountain Theater, HB, and Mill Mountain Theater, MMT, is back. We have Ginger, the producing artistic director, here with us, Ginger Poole. Ginger, a splendid good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good to be here.
Now, what does it mean? Mill Mountain Theater is back. You're ready to engage with the community again. You've been hibernating for a year.
Well, actually, hibernation, it's I would switch that word around, T-Bone. I really would. So the world shut down in March for all of us. We had just finished the second full week of rehearsal for Dream Girls, but we immediately pivoted. We realized quickly that our education programming could continue, but virtually, which was a totally different lift. I mean, I think our educators, we could do just about anything at any time with a room full of students, but it's different when you're like, wait a minute, I've got to set up my computer, make sure the audio is working. Are the children, do they have accessibility? Do they have their mute mic on? Or all of the things that we worry about. So there was a big shift there, but we went virtual with all of our educational programming. We continued with the classes. We then realized, with all of this parameters that we were given, that we had to adjust if we wanted to do anything. There were so many cancellations back to back to back, which are just, devastating and disappointing. But we did realize that we could produce a filmed version of Polka Dots, the Cool Kids musical, which is a great children's show. It was part of our outreach. It was the one show that was actually in our 2020 season that actually got produced. We never had a live audience, but we had a YouTube audience. And actually it was on Broadway On Demand for about 23 days. And that was our celebration of 2020.
Wow.
It was a very different year. I mean, typically we produce, 13 to 14 events in a calendar year.
Right.
Yeah.
And last year, other than the education, because that is a production itself, but those are classes and camps, all virtual. Polka Dots was a virtual production, which was, again, put us on a film set. Totally new.
And so you had to pivot from what you're used to doing completely. Now,
Yes.
Did you guys do a podcast as well?
We did. We started a podcast. So that's more like in your realm of that's my secret dream job. Y'all should know, HB and T-Bone. I want to work in radio one day. It fascinates me. I love the people. I love the reach. And I love that it's just the voice and the narration and the storytelling. So anyway, so that's my dream job one day. But yes, we created a podcast because secretly, I guess, and selfishly, it's been on my bucket list to do for the theater for like 3 years. But we didn't have the time to stop and go, okay, we're going to record, start some episodes for podcasts. Well, guess what? The silver lining to COVID was the gift of time.
Right.
And we had the time, and we needed some type of creative content to generate. And again, it gave me the opportunity to re-engage with friends and artists that we love that we couldn't bring in-house to produce anything, but I could talk with them for an hour. And like you said, tell stories that most people don't get to hear when they're performing on stage. So we've had a blast with those, and y'all have me beat with, if this is episode 103, we've done 20.
They're catching
So
on something.
we're the beginning of, but we've enjoyed them, and as y'all know, the accessibility of radio or podcast it's not just right here in the Valley. We realized really quickly, I think the last time we checked, which about, I don't know, maybe a month ago, we have listeners in 14 states and 3 countries.
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah.
We can't do that here in the Trinkle Main stage, but put us on a podcast and we're, all over the world, right?
You're everywhere.
But we've enjoyed doing that.
Well, now it's 2021.
Yes.
I looked at your website, Ginger.
Yes.
I heard you on WFIR. You've got a full deck of cards now as far as shows coming up, right?
We do, and
you're going to kind of transition into them, it sounds like.
We are going to transition because I think a lot, and I'll be looking behind your back, so for our listeners, literally my brain is on my office wall with the big giant white pieces of paper that give me titles and dates and people that are playing with us. But when I look at this, it reminds me that we have strategically planned this kind of crawl out of COVID, if you will.
Right.
This early programming, like we've got coming up, Write Stuff, which is our young person's playwriting competition.
Touch on that just for a second because that intrigues me.
Oh my gosh, we're so excited.
WRITE, Write Stuff.
Write Stuff, like exactly the verb, Write Stuff. And this is a youth playwriting competition. This is our 5th annual program of it, which we're excited about. And it started out by having like maybe 3 to 5 entries, and we would have a winner, and we would produce the youth playwrights work on our stage over on the Waldron. So this year, in 5 years, so we've gone from say 3 to 5 entries that year one. This year we had over 40 entries. So I would say this is now like this is a competition now.
There you go.
So again, safely, and I will say responsibly, we're going to start out doing this. It's 100% virtual. All the rehearsals are virtual. The end product is virtual. So that will celebrate those young writers in our community. I think there's actually 5 shows that have been chosen. I believe I have that number right. Victoria Buck, our education director, she can correct me later, but I do think the 5 shows were chosen. We then roll into Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream.
But hold on.
You want to talk about Write Stuff? Yes.
Who are these young writers? What's the age group?
Yeah.
Anywhere from as young, we've had entries as young as 5th grade all the way through 12th grade.
Oh my.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's amazing because it's through the lens, and all of them, they have to be one acts, like about a 10-minute play.
Right.
And when you sit down to write anything, I think there's barriers and obstacles, and sometimes their brains just go, and they literally have like a 2-act play, and we're like, okay, we've got to shave this down to a 10-minute 1-act. But looking through life through the lens of that young person,
right,
it's pretty amazing what they've touched on. It's not all silly, goofy, slapstick. There's some really meat and heart to these shows.
Yeah.
There's a lot of humor in some of them, but some of them touch on some real life issues that are very touching and poignant. And we've got some amazing young talent in the Valley. I'm very proud to say.
Wow.
Very proud to say.
And this is so nice because if there's a kid out there that has an idea or just you're touching a nerve and it might spark something.
It's true. And there's something, T-Bone, that as far as the world of theater, there's so many important components that make theater happen. And so many times it's performance centric. Everybody thinks it's the actor on stage. That's kind of the last piece, because without the set dressing or the lighting designer, or the costume designer, or the playwright, the actor doesn't have a job.
Right. It's a pipeline.
It's a pipeline.
Yeah.
And to touch these
product.
students, that some of them have no desire to be on stage, but to let them know this is an outlet for you because you create the stories for us to tell on stage. It's pretty cool to see them blossom.
Well, that probably started a long time ago with this guy named Billy Shakespeare, Midsummer's Night's Dream.
That's right, good old Bill.
Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of him. Yeah, he's been around for a little bit.
Are you guys going to touch on that?
We are.
Okay.
We're good.
Tell us about that one.
So we'll roll into that in May, so really soon. Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. It is a scaled down version, so it's great for a family to come and enjoy about an hour and 10 minutes worth of theater. It will be outside. And again, that is a choice that we went after that title because we knew, we could do it well. It would give an opportunity for performance for our youth. And it's the set should be outside.
Now, what's outside, Ginger? What does that mean? Where are you going to be?
The entire show. We will be over at the church in Grandin. That it's right on the corner across from the Grandin Theater that has like the little amphitheater built in, just the side, the corner, right there. And so we'll have the foot traffic. You can bring a lawn chair, a blanket, and enjoy an evening of theater before sundown. And we'll have, May 8th through the 16th, 2 weekends of this.
That's right across from the CI.
That's right.
It is.
Yes.
And Nelson Harris,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We've interviewed Nelson. Wonderful man.
Yeah.
So Midsummer's Night Dream, right outside there.
Yep.
That's going to be a beautiful setting.
Yep.
And when is that going to be again?
That'll be in May 8th through the 16th, 2 back-to-back weekends.
All right, very good. And then let me see if I got this all memorized, Ginger.
I'm
Is
gonna
there
be
a
blown
Thomas in the library lady?
Look at you! Oh my gosh!
You got to do your research.
T-Bone, oh my gosh! And I'm having to read a big cue card on the wall, my wall. Yes, it's actually Tomas in the library lady.
Tomas.
So this is a really cool concept. So this show, it is based on a children's book that is based on the life of a real man named Tomas Rivera. He is the son of immigrant workers, and it talks about his life as a young boy of having to just be uprooted and transplanted because his parents had to follow the work, where the work was. And they finally landed in a little small town in Texas, and he befriended a librarian at his elementary school. And through the librarian, they grew this bond and friendship. She taught him English through the books. He taught her Spanish, and he was able to realize that through books he could go anywhere. Right. That he wasn't just right where he was or wherever he was, transplanted and uprooted. That if he had a book, he could go anywhere. So it's a beautiful story. It's bilingual, so half of it's in Spanish, half of it's in English, but it's told in such a way that if you're not a Spanish-speaking person, you're going to hear every bit of the story. If you're not an English-speaking person, you're going to hear every bit of the story.
Works both ways.
It works both ways. So we're excited that this is really the main arm of our community engagement and outreach program with our education. This is, I believe, our 6th summer that we've taken a tour out in the community. This fits the same formula that we've done in the past, but we're keeping it all outdoors, again, for the safety and responsibility of our community and our patrons. It's a small cast of 4 and our director, and I'm proud to say that we sought after folks that could tell this story. Our entire cast are native Spanish speakers.
Wow.
So they will speak the language beautifully. There's a little bit of music entwined with the show, and this will tour the Roanoke Valley and even up in Botetourt. So we'll hit all of the libraries. We hit all of the parks and rec areas.
Okay.
And typically we would have some stops in schools for like some of the elementary summer school programs, but we'll do everything outside. We do several stops right out here on the market square. Okay. So that's a lot of fun. So we're excited about that one.
So that's coming to a location near all of us.
That's right. Coming to a location near you. And that runs for an entire month. So because it's a tour, they rehearse for about 2.5 weeks. Mm-hmm. They get the show on its feet. They load a van and they travel the Roanoke Valley and plop down in various locations. But because of the nature of the show, again, it's right about an hour, so it's perfect for young audiences. Mm-hmm. They can sit down, have the attention span. And this tour's June 2nd through July 2nd, so for a whole month. And another interesting part of this component that we're proud of, like I said, this is the 6th tour that's gone out, and it's a major component with our connection to literacy in the Valley, that every child that sees the show, they leave with a book. They leave with a book, cool. And we follow up with the families to see, hey, did you read the book together? Did it inspire you to go to the library? Are you reading more at home? So we can gather this data, share it with educators and the city and the county and whatnot, and we can really tell that we've moved the needle as far as families' interaction and just sitting down with a book together and getting these screens out of our faces and being together as a family. So we're proud of that as well.
Good for you, and you should be.
Thank you.
Elephant in the Room, is that next?
That's next. Oh my gosh, you're amazing. Wow.
There's cue cards.
Oh no, it's like your brain is incredible. T-Bone, I need lessons. I feel like I've got a attention span anymore. So yes, Elephant in the Room. This is typically a show that we would have done on our Waldron stage, which is like our 99 seat black box theater over on Church. Mm-hmm. So not the main stage, but our small, intimate. Because of COVID, we want to, again, take care of people and make sure that we can manage things responsibly. We're actually moving absolutely everything we do over here on the Trinkle We have more space. We can spread audience out further if we're still under those type of parameters, and we have space. So this is typically what we call the Fringe Fair, but it's going to be on the main stage. So the elephant in the room, the artist is Priyanka Shetty, and she is an East Indian woman who is, this is her real story of coming to the States and finding her way and where she fits in the United States. There's a lot of humor. There's a lot of reality. There's a lot of really makes you think about, wow, have I done that to someone before? Or have I been treated like that before? So again, it's a one act, no intermission. And for us, this is the first time to be indoors for our entire season. And this is June 11th and 12th.
June 11th and 12th.
So if you think about everything I've mentioned, it's either been virtual or outside or for children. This is the first time we're inviting people in our doors. It's a one-woman show.
Really?
It's our chance to stretch those muscles that we've been preparing for, exactly, and make sure we can manage safely what we've been practicing on paper. And I mean, you can see the PPE behind me. I mean, we've got everything locked and loaded. It's purchased. We're ready to use it. But that'll be the first time that we invite our patrons and our community back into our theater.
And there's not a bad seat in the theater.
There's literally not a bad seat.
We've been here before.
Yes.
It's been a while, but we've been here. But it's just a wonderful place.
It is. The configuration, there's not a bad seat. And the way, depending on at any given moment, like if we were to go in there now, you can see that we've already blocked off seats.
Oh, it's okay.
But is that hopefully... That is, as people get vaccinations and things are moving forward, hope, that's going to be relieved, I hope. And then we can start, removing some of those, please do not sit here, signs. But right now, we would be functioning, if the show were to happen right now today or tonight, we would be working for just under 50%. So more close to like a 43% rate.
All right. So let's fast forward. That's going to go well. And then would $1 million quartet come in after that? Or
yes. No? And that's when we have to flex.
Because tell us about it.
Well, okay, $1 Million Quartet. So it was a Broadway sensation.
Now, what's it based on, Ginger?
Oh, it's so good, y'all. So, have you ever heard of a young man named Elvis Presley?
No.
Jerry Lee Lewis, Carl Perkins, Johnny Cash, Sun Studios. So this
Memphis?
is right, all of that. So this is the story of these 4 young men in their early career. So if you're expecting to see the white jumpsuit Elvis, no. This is early Elvis. This is early, just beginning in their career. And there's a jam session at Sun Studio. And this captures all of those young artists and how they're finding their way, whether sometimes that's ego in the room, sometimes it's whether it's, Blue Suede Shoes was almost like a ballad at the beginning, and then they work it up to the peppy, the ones that the Blue Suede Shoes that we know now. And it's like them kind of side coaching each other and hey, pick that up or slow that down or try this riff here. And it's a really fabulous show. So it had a great Broadway career. It then had a great tour. And it's had a wonderful life, out in Vegas for a long time. But regionally, theaters have been doing this probably for the past 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. It's been on Mill Mountain's, what I call our short list, for many seasons. And for whatever reason, we haven't done it. And I really think now, here's the Pollyanna in me, we haven't done it now because, we haven't done it yet because I know we need to do it now. Because if you think about this show, it's the first time we're managing more than one person on stage, but it's 7 people in the entire cast. Oh. It's one set, so we don't have all these moving pieces. So again, we're trying to think simplicity, but still have a huge bang and wow factor. And even in the staging of the show, Jerry Lee is always, stage right on his piano. Johnny Cash is always stage left on his guitar. Elvis is usually front and center with his guitar. So you don't have all of this moving around or a giant dance ensemble or a big chorus. The way that the show is set up and it's meant to be, they're in their location. So we don't even have this swirling, stuff to manage as far as, again, going back to reference COVID and all of the protocols that we have to jump through. So I think it's a perfect fit to do at this time. And it's also a show that Roanoke's asked for us to do for many, many years. When we do like an audience survey, this is always one of the top ones on the list.
It sounds
so
good.
Here we go.
Yeah,
we're going to do it, and we're going to see if we can. So
now, when will that be?
That will be July 28th through August 22nd.
August 22nd.
And I was going to let me share this with you, HB and T-Bone. Typically at Mill Mountain Theater, when we run a musical, we run for 3 weeks.
Okay.
Planning, knowing that we're probably going to be at some reduced capacity. Whether that's less than 50 or hopefully it gets to 75 or back to 100 eventually. Knowing that, we've planned, again, strategically, we're running all of our musicals for 4 weeks. Which that's a stretch for us, but if you think about, that's going to help us balance that missing box office. So in 3 weeks, so basically we're figuring that in 4 weeks, we can do what we typically do in 3.
Okay.
So, looking at the budget and what we need to pull in for each individual show, that helps us balance what we're expecting to make at a reduced house fill.
All right. So that sets the stage, HB, for September and October. There's a musical coming in. It was a movie in 2001. It was a Broadway play in 2007.
That's right.
It's Legally Blonde.
It's Legally Blonde, and we just announced that last Friday. We just announced that. So about 3 or 4 days ago from when we recorded this conversation now. And this was interesting because we typically roll out all of our titles at once.
Right.
This one was an interesting slot. This is September 22nd through October 17th. And this one, it about gave me a heart attack.
Why?
I'll just be honest. So in the world of everybody guessing, nobody knows like what we can do at what time. We have to go through rights and royalties to get permission to do shows. So we had another title chosen, and we were denied the rights, which is like, what did y'all do wrong? We didn't do anything wrong. We actually did everything right because the national tour's coming out of this particular show, and Roanoke is going to be a stop.
So they didn't
So
want to.
we couldn't
you
cross.
want to double up.
So we had that plan to roll out, all of these titles at once back in December. So we had to have this like placeholder. We just had it. We called it the TBD show for months. The TBD show. And so when we knew that one title was denied, we had to go back to the drawing board. Guess what? I did it again.
Oops.
Picked a title that we thought would be aces in the box office, that Roanoke would want, that would be manageable for us for size and would have that box office wow. Another national tour.
Boom.
So third time's the charm. Went back to the drawing board and we came up with Legally Blonde. We got the rights. There was no tour for Legally Blonde in 2021.
Reese Witherspoon will not be coming through Roanoke.
That's right. I'd love it if she would come.
Oh, it'd be great.
If y'all can help me arrange that, I'm all about it. But
we're on it.
Have her people call your people.
Yeah.
So there was a process where, at first I was like, we've got time, but then it got panicky because the calendar was ticking and I was like, we have to have a title soon. So we were very happy to have that announcement, and now we have a complete slate. But we're excited to bring that one, and people are buzzing about that one. Ticket sales for Legally Blonde are already blowing up the box office. So I'm like,
fantastic.
okay.
And you just announced it.
And we just announced it.
Wow.
And of course, the movie was big. The
big and
musical
still-
at Broadway,
yeah.
and we're going to thank Pink. Those two.
We will. You can't help but think Pink. And it leaves like it's a positive message, that it's hope. You will leave singing and dancing. So we're excited about that one.
And we did say, Ginger, right before we start, we both heard there's going to be a Legally Blonde 3 in 2022.
I know, which I'm curious to see, what does Elle Woods do after graduation and marriage? So let's see what they have to do. She'll save the world.
She'll save the world. She's a Cosmo.
Elle for president, maybe. I don't know. Elle Woods for president.
Why not? She's a Cosmo girl.
She is a Cosmo girl.
All right, the big finish.
Yes.
I think this was your biggest box office production, A Christmas Story.
Yes.
And we're all familiar with that, where it takes place probably around 1940.
That's right.
Darren McGavin.
That's right.
And the Bumpus dogs come in and take
Bumpus
their
dogs
food.
come in, get the turkey.
Turkey.
You'll shoot your eye out.
You'll shoot your eye out.
Yes, all of it. We all could probably quote the movie.
Wash your mouth out with soap.
That's right, I know.
But, so that tells about that, because as we're getting ready to wind down here, that's going to be a big one.
This is one we're super excited about. It is a Christmas story. It is quintessential as far as everybody knows that movie. I mean, what is it, TBS that runs it, 24 hours on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or something like that. So this one for us will be December 1st through the 23rd, so basically the whole month. It blew our minds because it sold the last time we did this, which was pretty recently. I mean, typically I try to have at least a 5 or 7 year gap before we repeat any titles. We only did this one 4 years ago. But it was such a hit. Again, I needed that box office success. Mm-hmm. I needed something that I knew Roanoke would run and clamor to the theater again. But this one sold better than musicals for us.
Yes.
It is the highest grossing show we have done in our 57-year history.
Wow.
Not just like the past 10 years. No, it's blows because we've done some amazing musicals here.
Yeah.
And musicals sell well here. That one, it plays like a musical, but there's not an ounce of music in it, except for transition music. But it's popular. It is another great opportunity for our youth to be on stage and really carry the show. As far as Ralphie as the lead, and we are hopeful that we'll see some familiar faces back in this production. So there's a tease right there that there'll be some familiar folks that Roanoke would like to see.
Ginger, I'm saying this for the listeners mostly because. You if you haven't been to a theater show here, it will blow you. You don't know it.
Thanks,
you come in and it's the lights are on and the curtains closed, and you're sitting there and you kind of, if you don't know it, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because boy, when the lights go down and the curtain, when it's over, you are like, why haven't I been doing this more?
Oh, HB, that's the best endorsement ever.
That is absolutely what happened to me years ago.
Thank you. That is an incredible endorsement. But yes, if you haven't tried us out, please come visit. We'd love to have you. Yeah.
Now, as we close, Ginger, tell us how long you've been with Mill Mountain Theater.
Yeah.
I'd say more than a day or so.
A couple of days, like a couple of weeks now. No. I actually came as an actor back in 2006. My first show here was Don't Dress for Dinner, a silly farce. Okay. I was on stage and then was asked back to act and direct and choreograph, and then came on full-time in 2008 as their director of education at the time. And that was right about the time that Mill Mountain faced some troubles, and I was here and have pulled us up by our bootstraps ever since.
I can see you acting. Do you do that anymore?
The last time I was on stage was about 4 years ago. That little girl right there has changed a lot of my extra time, but which is fine. I'll trade it for the world. But I guess all in all, I've been in Roanoke, involved with Mill Mountain Theater for 15 years, and in leadership for 12.
Wonderful. Wow. And I found out a couple of things when I was researching this show. 1964, a couple of people started Mill Mountain Playhouse.
That's right.
Is that right? And was that up on Mill Mountain?
It was. It was up on Mill Mountain, right there by the zoo, by the Star. They were there. It was a director and a couple of actors that were dear friends that wanted a place to meet every summer and perform with their friends. Oh. So that was the birth of Mill Mountain Playhouse Company at the time. That's still our legal name. We were there from 64 to 76.
Fire?
Yes. But I've got to say this for your listeners, because this always blows my mind, because this is written in the Roanoke Times back in 76 when the arson happened. Ooh. They call it an accidental arson. That's an oxymoron, isn't it? I know, what is that? An accidental arson. But they really think that somebody unintentionally just flicked a cigarette butt and it caught in the straw or the mulch or something, and it was an all wood structure, and it just went up.
And it was right beside Mill Mountain Zoo. So when that burned down, didn't they temporarily go to the Grandin Theater?
We did. They went over to the Grandin for 8 years and set up residency there, because the Grandin at the time was not functioning as a cinema house. It was just sitting empty. So for 8 years, Mill Mountain Theater called that home. And if you think about it, it's ideal in certain areas and a total stretch. And it has a box office, a concession stand, a lobby, public restrooms, a audience. Yes. Seating. It even has a performance space, but if you think it's super wide and it was 12 feet shallow, no fly system, no storage system, no shop, no costume shop, no dressing rooms. So like backstage, they were making it magic. I don't know how. They said they would have actors at another store like 2 doors down, and they would have interns with umbrellas that if it rained, run them back and forth to keep their costumes dry. Yeah. So that was for 8 years. And then during that time, the movers and shakers and the board members of Mill Mountain Theater were finding a permanent home. And we were the catalyst for the building that we're sitting in now. Mill Mountain Theater was the catalyst to start Center in the Square, to give Mill Mountain a permanent home, but also to open up a home for other nonprofit arts and cultural organizations.
Yeah. And the rest is 1983, and the rest is history.
And the rest is history. And here we are in 2021, and we're still sitting in the same footprint. Yeah, here we are. Yep.
And your imprint touches all of Southwest Virginia.
It does.
Just all the artistic endeavors you guys bring. So well done. I'll give you the last word, Ginger. You want to touch on volunteers or how people can get tickets, whatever you want to touch on.
Yes.
You got it. No, thank you for that. You can check out all that we're doing at millmountain.org. We will start rallying our volunteer base, so look out for emails. You can always reach out to me very easily, ginger@millmountain.org. Folks, support live theater. We need you.
Yes, all right.
And on with the show. This is it.
That's right. Let's go get them.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen. This was a blast.
Thanks, JT.